G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of the CoolDadCollective podcast, a podcast that is for dads by dad, talking everything there is to talk about fatherhood. And I would like to welcome you today. It's a big event. It's a big occasion. Not many of these. No, this doesn't usually happen many a time, and it has been a little bit of a break. And we'll get into why there was a little bit of a break over the podcast. But we are here welcoming you to episode 100. That is right. Episode 100 of the podcast. We got to 100 episodes. That is roughly 100 times, I'm going to say it's got to be at least 60 hours worth of documentation over my fatherhood journey from the time that my daughter was about 2. She is now 5 and my youngest daughter is 3. That is 60 hours of stuff up, 60 hours of stories, 60 hours of things that I've learned along the way, 60 hours of interviews with people who have had their fatherhood journeys spoken about, 60 hours, and I say 60 because I actually genuinely have no idea. It's probably more than that, to be fair. But it's something that I am so incredibly proud of, that I've managed to get to 100 episodes. My last podcast that I used to do, we got to about 50 episodes in that one, and then obviously that's when the dad life started, and I had a bit of a break from podcasting, and I got straight back into it, and just getting to 100, literally cracking that ton. Is just a huge milestone, and there has been times, obviously the last 3 weeks I haven't posted a podcast, mainly because life's been hectic, and I'll get into that. And I'll be honest with you, I have no plan for this podcast. I really should start planning it. My life has been all over the place, but just getting here today, getting in the studio, getting around like all the equipment, it just makes me so happy and motivated to get here. And but so first things first, 100 episodes, and I probably wouldn't have even gotten to 100 episodes, to be honest, if it wasn't for you guys. I know there's not a huge listener base. I know the Instagram community and the TikTok community is quite big. Likewise with the Facebook community. I'll get into Facebook again. Fucking Jesus, that's a story and a half. But, that's obviously quite a large community. But in terms of my podcasting community, it's a really, I wouldn't say it's a small group, but it's a decent sized group. But there's definitely a group of dads out there, or mums, that really love listening to the podcast. And, this would be nothing. The motivation behind doing the podcast would be so minimal if it wasn't for you guys, sending through messages saying that you're listening, saying that you enjoy this story, or that this made you feel seen, or this story was really relatable. And so it comes down to you guys. You guys, I appreciate you guys so much when it comes to the podcast. All the content creation and all that stuff is really fun. I love doing it. But this is the shit that I love the most. There's the introspective conversations about my journey as a parent, and the conversations I have with other people about their journeys as parents. I think it's so important. And I'm just insanely proud. I'm insanely proud of CoolDadCollective, and they say pride's a sin, but fuck that. No, it's not. You should be proud of everything you do. If you're not proud of the things that you're doing, why are you doing them? You should always be proud of the stuff that you do, proud of the little things that you do. Take pride in all your work, because the amount of pride you have, that's a reflection on the work that you put out there. So I'm always a big, big promoter of being proud of yourself and being proud of the things that you do, because I think in terms of a mental health perspective as well, being proud of the work that you do really just, I don't know, gives you that like internal motivation and that self-satisfaction and I don't know, I think you should be proud. You should always be proud of the things. Proud of if you have a day with your kids and you have a great day, you manage to keep you cool the whole day, you manage to have a couple dad wins, you should be proud of that. That's a huge pride thing. Or maybe you just got through the day. Maybe today was a fucking tough day at work, but you got through it. You got through the day. You're in the car right now. You're going home. Those are the little things we got to be proud of. Because if you're just sitting there like, oh man, it's just another day. I should just, not even acknowledge it. Get it? Nah, you should always acknowledge it. If you got up this morning and you went to the gym, you should be proud of that. If you got up this morning and you made your kids lunch, you should be proud of that. If you took your kids to school this morning and maybe they were a bit teary, maybe it was a tough drop off and you got through it and you managed to get to work and still get the day done, that you should be proud of yourself. So big thing around the podcasting community, or just the community of Cool Dad, is you should always be proud that you're a great parent. I think being a great parent is something that you should be immensely proud of. And, if you're someone who's putting in the work, and probably people who are even listening to this, you're finding resources, or you're finding communities that also have the same values of loving being a parent. And, you should be proud of that, because it's a big deal being a good parent. And if you're someone who takes time on and works on themselves and works on their relationship with their partner and works on their relation with their kids, you should be exceptionally proud of that. So it's fantastic being back behind the mic. It's fantastic to be, in your ears and talking about my life. So, let's fucking just dive in. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I have moved. Now, I'm very transparent about this. I have no fucking, I don't care about, people might think, oh no, this is like a backward step. I don't think it is. We have ended up, I'll give you the full story. Our lease has ended, and at our old place, so that beautiful little loft apartment that you probably see in all my videos, we love it there. It's amazing. We have all intentions of moving back there, but for the next 6 months, we didn't want to get lease locked. So in other words, we didn't want to sign another lease and have to break it halfway through, because we do definitely want to purchase our own property during at the end of the year. But, that's more on like my life and all that sort of stuff. So not really to do with parenting, but I know some people are interested in it, and that's fair enough. So I moved home with my parents, and it's really cool. I'm very much excited for the next 6 months of living with my parents. I'm very excited that my daughters will get the chance to see their grandparents very frequently. And it's also nice to sort of have my parents around. Like, I guess my mum especially, she's only just become like an empty nester. My brother moved overseas, so he moved out of home, and I've been out of home for a while now, obviously starting my little family. So I think my mum is thoroughly enjoying the fact that there's people around the house. There's always someone to have a cup of coffee with, which is always good. And, for me personally, I love it too. I love the fact that I can just, go to the kitchen and mum will be in there and we can cook dinner together, or we can have a coffee together. Because I feel like, when you move out of home and you start your own little family, you forget about those. You don't always forget about it, but I think you take for granted the relationship that you have with your parents. And I've got a very good relationship with both my parents, and not being able to see them all the time because we lived a little bit further away from them was, it wasn't bad, but it was just one of those things where as they get older, as I get older, you realize that the time that you get to spend with your parents, and, coming from someone who's very lucky and very aware of the fact that, I'm very lucky that I still have both my parents here. I know a couple of my friends have lost parents, and, they always say like the things that they regret the most is not spending more time with their parents as they got older. So, that's something that for me, I want to spend a lot more time with my parents as well, whether it just be for the next 6 months or like moving forward as well. So, but it's also fantastic to see my daughter's relationship with my grandparents. I wasn't super close with my grandparents. There's no fault of theirs, or we just lived quite far away from them, and I never sort of had that relationship with my grandparents that I knew a lot of my friends had. They were always around, and they'd always come and see my soccer games and stuff like that, but it was never like a situation where I could just go to my grandma and grandpa's house or my nan and pop's house and sort of just stay there without my parents. It was always like a situation where they would go over and visit, and we'd go over, and it was always like, you'd always go to their house and you felt like you were in their house, if that makes sense. Whereas my daughters absolutely feel like, when they're at their nan and pop's house, like they can, it's like being at home, you know what I mean? There's like, they've got a whole bunch of toys there, and my mum goes above and beyond with like cooking things with them. And whenever we go there, my mum always makes pancakes for the girls, and the girls love it. And so I really am enjoying the fact that we're living with them for the next 6 months. So that is where we've moved to. But in saying that, the moving process with kids is absolutely fucked. And it sucks for many reasons, mainly because Kia and I, we kind of had to take shifts as to who was doing the moving. So for example, like obviously I would do a lot of the heavy lifting. She would do a lot of the packing. So there'd be times where I'd be out with the girls and Kia would be packing at home, and then Kia would be out with the girls and I'd be moving everything. And moving just... you forget how shit moving houses is. Like, honestly, it fucking sucks. Nothing puts into perspective more about how much useless shit you have in your house than when you have to move. And the worst thing is you never get rid of everything that's useless. Like there's so many things that we're moving into storage that I'm like, why the fuck do we have this? We probably will use this. We're just not going to use it right now. And that's insanely annoying to have to do. So the moving process was pretty annoying. And it was made worse by the fact that I injured my knee whilst moving. So I'm currently nursing a pretty roughed up knee, which has meant I haven't been able to play football as much as I wanted to recently. And football for me, I'm not a big gym goer. You guys know this. Football for me is kind of like my escape. I love playing my social football league. And at the moment, I haven't been able to sort of do much or just in physical activity in general. I mean, I went back to work today and obviously being a PE teacher, I'm on my toes. I'm on my feet majority of the day. We do a lot of, active work. I mean, I'm definitely a PE teacher who gets involved if I'm playing touch footy, I'm playing touch footy. Like I'm throwing Benji Marshall steps or actually Benji Marshall steps are now outdated. They all say now we're doing KP steps, Kalen Ponga steps. So it's pretty cool the fact that KP's getting a bit of shine on there, and especially when I was younger, it was always the Benji step. But so I always jump in, and today was a tough day because obviously I wanted to jump back in with the kids and play some touch footy or play some whatever game we were playing. And I realized I was like, oh, it's a bit rough there. My knee's a little bit like a concrete mixer at the moment, which isn't ideal. And when the kids say, oh, like, sir, how did you hurt your knee? Were you playing sport? And I'm like, nah, mate, just moving a fridge down the stairs. That's how I hurt my knee. And now I'm going to physio for that. So that's super fun. But yeah, moving with kids, it's always a tough situation. And then obviously, we had probably a period of time where the girls were just fucking on one, like proper on one, like just not interested in the routine, not interested in, and you're thrown out of routine pretty much. Like you don't know what you're doing. There was a period there where we didn't have a fridge in the house, so we were constantly like having to go to the shops and get sort of like, eat as you go food, I like to call it, or takeaway, or not really takeaway. We got takeaway one night, which is fucking mint. I love getting takeaway and just eating on the floor. But we were eating bloody chicken nuggets, things like that, which is like, for us, we got nothing wrong with that, but the kids get a vibe. The kids are like, there's no furniture in the house. Where's everything going? Why is this going on? Dad, what's going on? You're like, we're moving. And unfortunately, it was one of those situations too where we got to Sunday where we finally got to return the keys. So the house was completely empty. And we walked through the house and it was kind of like the fucking Bluey episode, like The Sign. Not really, because we were obviously renting, but we'd been in this house for like 4 years. Like it was the only house that Summer, my youngest daughter, had known. And it was probably the house that we'd been in the longest while Skylar was younger. So like, for example, I asked Skylar, like, do you remember these things? And from gathering what she talks about, I don't think she remembers anything before the age of 3. Like, I asked her about the Japan trip that we went on. Like, oh, remember this? And she's like, nah, don't remember any of that. You're like, sick, cool, all good. So yeah, Skylar had a little bit of a moment where I think she realized that we were moving, and I don't know, man. When you see your kids get emotional about those things, like I had no emotional attachment to this house. Like I know there was like some great moments in the house, and we obviously, Summer was born in that, not in the house, but we brought Summer home to that house, and seeing I think Skylar get really sad about it made me sort of think about like, this is sad. Like it is sad. There's so many things that have happened in this house. And like, I did one of those like, when you feel like you're in a movie scene and like, so the girls had said goodbye to the house and they went home and I was doing the last little run through and you sort of sit in all the rooms and you're like, oh, this was the room where blah, blah, blah. Or this is the time. And you do realize how many cool memories you have in the house. So there was a couple like emotional moments there, but that happens. I think that happens whenever there's kids around. Kids always seem to make you attach emotion to different things, whether it's a holiday location, whether it's a house, a room, a piece of furniture, a fucking stuffed toy, a pillow, like literally you name it. And, there was like a blanket there. Like it was like a white sheet, right? And I'm like, let's just get rid of this. And then I started thinking, I was like, oh my God, that's Summer's, this is so stupid. I'm like, oh, that's Summer's first ever kindy blanket. And I'm like, that means fuck all, really. But I was like, wow, Summer's first kindy blanket. That was the blanket we sent Summer to kindy first in. Wow. And you're like, why the fuck am I romanticizing this dirty, disgusting white blanket that has been so old and is now used by the kids to wrap their dolls in? So like little things like that, or like, oh, look at the stairs. I remember when Summer fell down the stair, like shit like that, bro. But yeah, it's wild how it does that to you. But I feel like that's just like, I feel like as you get older, that's kind of just like you know, especially when you have kids, you just attach emotion to so many different things. And it's so stupid, the amount of emotion you attach to different things. So we obviously had that. And, you know, there's probably going to be emotion attached to like different things when we move into the next place. So it's very interesting when it comes to that sort of stuff. But yeah, so the move was good. We're back in a routine now. I'm feeling a lot better about being, you know, getting my content, I guess, like plans back in place. I'm currently building, and this is, you know, okay, I'll tell another story. I think I've mentioned it before. I've gotten off my ADHD medication, which like not really in terms of like I don't take it daily anymore. I just think it was killing my buzz a little bit in terms of like my creativity buzz. It makes you obviously very efficient and very like boom, boom, boom. I can get everything done. But you also lack that, I guess, like that creative thinking space because you are such a laser beam in terms of getting things done. I think one of the blessings with having fucking intense ADHD is my brain does wander a lot. And when it wanders, that's when I get my best ideas. Like it's such a superpower when you actually like understand the things that make you tick. So I've been off it for a little bit, and it's actually given me that my potential to what I call hobby max. So you obviously get your looks maxing, which is those guys that make them, no, fuck that. I'm not into that. I'm 30. I'm 31. I'm hobby maxing. I'm trying to get as many hobbies as I physically can, and I'm portioning out time for each of them, right? So one of the things that I'm really into at the moment, I'm using Claude, my mate Claude, who is a online, obviously AI, really nice bloke. It seems to agree with me with a lot of things, so good for Claude, but I feel like that could be dangerous in some hands. But I've decided to create a child-friendly Dungeons and Dragons game. And I really, as the inner teacher in me, has made it sort of based it on, I get really bored with reading the kids like the same story over and over again, right? So the premise behind this like kid-based Dungeons and Dragons game is you get to create a character, and then each story is based into like 30-minute increments. So it only takes 30 minutes to play the game because there's only a couple scenes, and there's obviously you use a dice, like a normal 6-sided dice. We're going to work on some probability, so it breaks things down into probability-wise based on what the kids roll. But then it'll spit you out like a story based on like the outcome of the roll. So what that means is every single time you play, it's interactive. The kids are into it. They have their own characters, and it's constantly building on. You can build up these characters, right? Because you use the same characters for every story, and each story has a different outcome. So every single night when you're playing, you're reading a new story to your kids that your kids have full control over. Like not full control, but it's based on like what their decisions are in the Dungeons and Dragons game. So it's very child friendly. I'm working really hard on it. I'm actually getting really obsessed with it, which is actually fucking insane. So I really want to get that out to you guys because I want to sort of leverage my ADHD fucking brain to like, you know, make things fun. So that's one thing I'm doing. My daughters are sort of my test subjects for it. They're really keen on it. We're going to give it a test run very soon once I get all the coding correct. So I'm very excited to get that out. And once it's all good, I'm going to release it on the Cool Dad Instagram page so you all have access to it. I do not want any money for it. I do this because I love it. And, you know, like I said, the inner teacher in me, I know how important reading is to your kids. There is a clear distinction as a teacher, between the kids who were read to as children and the kids that weren't. And let me tell you, reading to your kids, it may seem like a really annoying thing to do, and I will beat this drum until I physically cannot beat it anymore. Read to your kids. Read to your kids, okay? You want your kids to have the best leg up on anything, literally speech, reading, identifying with, like, it doesn't matter. Like, literally reading will do that. Okay, reading will do that. And yes, I fully understand that sometimes it is annoying, and this is why I want to create this Dungeons and Dragon game, because it makes it really, really fun. And you can be your dungeon master, you can put on funny voices, and it gives you, I feel like as parents, like, you know, reading the same story over and over again, it doesn't allow us to escape and be present because we're constantly going through the motions of reading the same book. if we're reading a different story and it's just coming up with different storylines and you get a different story every night, as a parent, that makes it so much more exciting too. So, yes, I'll be working on the child friendly Dungeons and Dragons game. I might even change it up. Maybe we could add some more coding in so that it spits out some different stories as well. Maybe that we could do some car stories, whatever. I don't know, but yeah, dude, I'm thriving at the moment. I fucking love being a dad. It's the coolest shit ever. I'm so excited every fucking day to get up. And I think you should be too. If you get to wake up every day and you see the first thing you see is your kids smiling or your kids crying, let's be honest, I've been there too. We're very lucky. We're very, very, very lucky. There are people who would kill to be in the shoes that we're already in. So don't wish it away. Don't think about, the negatives all the time. I know there are tough days. I know it does get hard. I know being a parent is super hard, but it's also one of the most important jobs in the world. And you should be very proud of yourselves and take it very seriously because it is the fucking best. Yeah. Bit of a short podcast today because I do have to go pick up my beautiful daughters from school. So only a 20-minute hitter today, and I've got some very cool guests. I know I say that all the time, but I've got a lot of podcasts that I've got banked and some very cool guests coming up, and I'm just fucking excited to be back behind the mic. So guys, you know what it is. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Make sure you spend some time with your kids. Read to your kids. Make sure you buy your wife flowers, or if you're a mummy out there, maybe buy your husband flowers. I don't know. I'd never say no to flowers. I love them. I think they're fucking fantastic, and it's the thought that counts. I love it when I know that Kia's thinking about me. It makes me really happy. Anyway, guys, have a great week and go be fucking great, mate. Peace.